Okay. I'd like to introduce our 10-minute speaker, which I'm it. My name's Colin. I'm an alcoholic. I was just thinking to myself, man, you got to get up and down a lot, man, when you're leading this meeting, you know. But, well, you know, I just earlier just came in to get a cup of coffee, you know, and my sponsor said, hey, you're going to be our 10-minute speaker, you know. And I'm thinking, are you sure that's a good idea right now, you know? Because, you know, it's been one of those days where everybody's an asshole, you know, except me. And, you know, just one of those days. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. But, you know, I was just thinking to myself, you know, it's so easy to forget how important it is, you know, for the newcomers in this room, you know. And I forget that, too, you know. How hard it was for me to get that 30-day chip, you know. But I don't know. I'm definitely an alcoholic, man. I grew up in a family of alcoholics and addicts, you know, and that was just a normal everyday activity when I was a kid growing up, you know. You know, passing a joint from my dad to his buddies was cool, and sipping off the beers, and that led to my first drunk was when I was 8 years old. I ended up passing out in the neighbors' bushes, you know. And, you know, basically my mom gave me a cold or hot bath and a cup of coffee and some toast and said, don't ever do that again. Sure, okay. You know, that was funny looking back now. I mean, if my 8-year-old kid did that, man, I would be just furious. You know, I would lock him or her up, you know. But, just shortly after that, my dad had a heroin addiction. He committed suicide behind that, and that was hard for me and my brother to grow up with, you know, to deal with. We didn't really deal with it. You know, it was just after that we started partying a lot, and it was just right away. I was a blackout drinker. Every time I drank, I blacked out, and I did terrible things. I was a thief. I was manipulative. I would do anything just so I wouldn't have to feel so scared. You know, I was a scared kid. And every time I drank, it took away that fear. And I felt a lot better. I felt like I could just face the world. And that's what I did, man. I faced a lot of cops, and well, you know, I mean, my first DUI was when I was 14 years old. We were all partying, and this girl, she said, hey, go get some beer, handed me the keys to her car, and, oh, sure, you know, I'll drive. But, you know, my dumb ass has to drive by the police station at night with no headlights on, you know, and and that was the kind of drunk I was. I didn't think, and boy, did I not think. I got a little slap on the wrist. I was introduced to the court card. I went to one meeting and met some girl there, and it was over with the meeting thing, and I had to go see the probation officer, and he pretty much flipped the coin, and I called tails, and he said, well, it's a done deal. See you later. And that was what happened. It's like I got away with so much, and all it did was prolong the misery for 16 and a half years. I was introduced to prisons, and boy, when I turned 18, from that DUI when I was 14, I was supposed to get my license back when I turned 18. And it was shortly after that another time somebody handed me the keys to their car and handed me some money and said, go get me some drugs, you know. And I said, oh, sure. You know, and we took off. And I was wasted. I was in a blackout. And I drove from here in this area to Hollywood, got a little more wasted. And I don't remember anything after that. We drove on the 5 freeway, ended up in Santa Ana, got $1 worth of gas, I think I remember. And then we ended up in Valencia, and then next thing I knew, I'm pulling over on the side of the freeway with the hood wrapped around the windshield, and I didn't know what I hit. And the first thing I thought of was dump out the empty beer cans and grab the full ones, man, let's go. You know, and that was the first thing I thought. We had about 4 beers apiece, and we're walking down the freeway, you know, on the 5 freeway. And, well, this tow truck driver pulls over and says, you guys all right? I said, yeah, we're fine. What do you mean, are we all right? I said, hop in. I'll give you a ride to the off-ramp. Well, there happened to be a CHP substation right there, and, of course, the cops were waiting for me, you know, and And they took me back to the scene of that accident, and I remember being handcuffed in the back seat of that car and seeing them trying to pry this guy out of this truck that was wrapped around a tree, and our eyes met as he's being dragged out of this truck, and that was, I remember that vividly, and that was in 1990, 11 years ago, and that's something I remember every day. I mean, I can't say every day. I'm too selfish, But, I was able, in my disease, to think, to call this guy and make amends, and I did everything I could with what little I did know to make amends, because I knew it wasn't something I did intentionally. And he didn't want to talk to me, and I remember seeing him in a body cast, in the courtroom, and I'm just this whole, I can't talk a lot about the 16 and a half years because I was in a blackout most of the time, but I don't remember a lot that happened in the court and all that stuff, but I do remember them saying, well, 2 years, and I'm thinking to myself, I've never been to county jail, and I did that time, and basically I did that deal, and then when I got out, it was on again. Thinking that somebody that would go through something like that would learn their lesson, but I certainly didn't. I was too hard-headed. And I started doing the same thing again, and my parole officer said, you have 8 dirty tests, and I have to do something about this, And I'm like, what do you mean, 8 dirty tests? That can't be true, But it was true, and he basically gave me an ultimatum, go back or go into this program, and I thought, well, you know what, let's do the program. I've never done that before. Let's see what that's like, I'll manipulate these people. And I kind of did. I fooled myself for, about 3 months I was in there. And basically I did everything that was suggested not to do. I got in a relationship right away. Didn't go to the meeting, sign my own court card. I didn't get a sponsor. Basically, I wasn't of any use to this program. I didn't like you people at the time. I didn't think I was anything like you, But I did the geographical, too. Moved to Indiana and moved with my aunt and uncle, which both of them are psychiatrists, And I swear to God, man, when I got out there, they had everything written down in my daily activities, down to brushing my teeth first thing in the morning, And that drove me nuts. And I got married, had a kid, and turned out the kid wasn't mine, and, the story goes on. But I ended up moving back for the next 5 years. I was drinking and I was using to the best of my abilities, man, which was always to the extent of, blackouts, man. But, and I used and abused everybody that I can think of and didn't have very many friends. I was unemployable. And one of my close friends that's in this room tonight, he decided it's time for him, to come into this program. And, and I'm thinking, you're weak, and that was my thinking. I mean, I guess he had trouble listening to the walls talk to him, And, but, took me another year before I decided this is what I needed to do. And January 13th of 1997, it wasn't even a thought that I had. It was something that just came to me all of a sudden. I'm walking down the riverbed, hung over, not knowing what the hell I did the night before, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing? And it's like it all of a sudden dawned on me, after all that time, that I wasn't going anywhere. I was just existing. I didn't have any friends, I mean, everything was gone. I didn't have anything. But I was emotionally, physically, mentally just bankrupt. And I just went home and I started packing what little stuff I did have, and I called this program, and they said, come down Monday. And I did that, and it's been 4 years, January 13th, and that's a miracle, man, for me. I have come a long ways. I've lost a lot in sobriety. I've been through emotional relapse in sobriety, but I haven't picked up that drink or that drug in the last 4 years. I've tried to the best of my ability to sit down with my sponsor, do my 4th step, and do my 5th step. And I'm trying to work on those amends. That's tough right there, because I owe a lot of money. Boy, do I owe a lot of money. But I think what's important, and a lot of you have heard this, for the new people, sponsorship is extremely important. Go to a lot of meetings. It doesn't hurt to go to a lot of meetings, but what helped me was the book studies, because everything that you need to know about sobriety is basically in that big book, and I don't know, I'm nervous as hell right now, and it's so much easier when you're called on to speak, to share, but when somebody tells you you're going to be our 10-minute speaker, man, that just devastated me all of a sudden. But I don't know. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say right now, but thanks for calling on me, Mike, for be the 10-minute speaker. And I'm going to sit down. Shut up. Thanks for letting me share.